I know it's a small window and sample size, but has PJ Carter's last 3 games been a surprise to anybody?
I thank you for mentioning that because we're about to talk about the emergence of PJ and not Haggerty because the emergence of PJ Haggerty has been known about. He is on watch list. He's talked about in All American talks. We're talking about the emergence of PJ Carter, and he's a honorable mention All AAC player this week. Averaged 25 minutes in the 2 games down in New Orleans and Houston. Averaged 16 and a half points. You guys know what he shot from 3 this week?
It was absurd, right? Like, so he
You know how
shot.
many threes you know how many threes he made in those 2
45%.
games? He made 9 threes in his last 2 games. 9 of 16.
Wow.
56% from
That's so
3.
crazy.
Dude's putting
What
in work.
was he at historically? He wasn't a shooter coming in, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was roughly 40%, I think.
Was he?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
somewhere
Right
thinking of
along.
a
along those
Koji.
lines.
Yeah, 40,
Yeah.
Baraka wa
40% in 2020 or 23, 24, 45%, or no, 42% in 24, 25.
okay.
Yeah,
But
man.
he's firing it. And he's feeling even the ones that he has missed have gone 3/4 of the way down and come out. He's not like every single one of them has a chance to go in. It's not like he's hitting the front of the rim. It's not no chance whatsoever or anything long. Like they are literally rattling in and out. Like he is dialed the F in.
What was he
From
at
long range.
Tulane? The Tulane game, he was
I think he was 4 of
4 of 9 or
8,
something.
4 of
and
9
and
at Tulane.
two of them were 75% of the way in the
Yeah, I
basket.
don't know how they ended up coming out. Like
Yeah.
they probably need to do one of those Mythbusters things about like how far down does a basketball actually have to go before it can physically come back out? Because he was rattling stuff all over. And then we got, I guess PJ Haggerty went to a different Walgreens, got the medicine he needed because he was all the way back yesterday.
Oh yeah.
All the way back. 26 points, 11-18 from the field. Knocked down the big clutch free throws after he just missed one not too long before that on the front end of a 1-on-1. But he looked like your All-American National Player of the Year candidate. Had 8 boards, 5 assists. Him and Tyrese combined for 10 assists. 10 of your 20. They had 7.
Wow.
Had 50% of your assists.
Who do you think is going to? Let's get back to the PJ Carter talk for a second. Who do you think is going to? Number one, this question was presented to me today, and I wanted to ask you guys this as well. How sustainable is PJ Carter's success so far? Like, do you think it's something that's going to continue, or what do y'all? Is it just?
I
Kind
mean,
of a flash in the
I
pan?
think he has shown that he's capable. I think he's obviously getting much more comfortable. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to go out and make 4 or 5 threes every night.
Right.
I don't know that that's sustainable. But for him to come out and continue to shoot 40+% from 3 and make 1 or 2 a night and give a good 15 minutes, I think that's sustainable. I think he's solidifying himself as being a key piece in the rotation down the stretch, which is exactly what you needed, right? We'd been talking about like you need a Baraka or even, I mean, I know Dante hadn't been here that long, but like somebody, you got to have somebody else in spurts that can come in and contribute. And now there's talk.
He's kind of doing more than that, right? Like
He is. I
he's
mean,
not just
almost
contributing. He's
becoming a serious, almost Colby Rogers-esque, like kind of. I mean, I guess Colby he's been fine. He hit 4 at Tulane, and then I know he started 0 of 7 and then ended up down the stretch shooting it well. But some people have been out there clamoring for PJ Carter to be a starter.
it's not PJ. It's not Colby they're trying to replace.
I know, it's Nick.
So that's my question to y'all is that's why this is such a unique situation, right? This late into the season, his emergence is causing teams to go or causing Penny to go or even fans to go, do you start to change the almost the entire dynamic of the starting lineup, right?
I don't I don't think I
Yeah, I
would.
couldn't. I think you can. Right.
I mean, I
It-
think he's.
Go ahead.
I just wouldn't. I think he's comfortable in the spot that he's in. He's getting the minutes anyway. Like, I don't know. And that's also maybe that's my personality, how I am. I would be worried that you throw him in the starting lineup and it changes something for him, whether that's him putting more stress on himself. Like he puts higher expectations. Well, now I'm a starter. Like I need to do such and such. Right now, I feel like he's going out there and he's comfortable and he's just playing with confidence and knows what he's out there like. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wouldn't mess with it. If you have to, and Nick is playing that bad, like just make the sub early. We've seen that Penny's not afraid to make a sub 30 seconds into a game. Like, I don't know. I like PJ coming off the bench. He's fit the role well. He's done a tremendous job the last week or so. And I do think it is sustainable, but maybe not necessarily at the level it's been. I'm not expecting him to come out and average 17 a night and hit 4 or 5 threes. But I think he knows what he's out there to do, and he's doing it very well.
Yeah, I mean, you're 17-4. It's not like you're 11-11 or something like that, and you're scrounging up wins. Nothing like that, right? You don't need to make some type of dire change. I mean, we've already done the 4 king things, but if you want to bring back the 4 kings thing for a little bit or play small, I'm not.
I mean, I
I'm not
don't
gonna
hate
stop
the
you.
4 guard. We've run it some, and it's worked.
I mean, do y'all not feel
Right.
like it's kind of a chess piece move, right? Like it's something that you utilize. They talk about it in the NBA all the time, the death
Yeah.
lineup, right? Like they talk
Yeah.
like Golden State had their death lineup where Draymond would play the 5, Andre Iguodala would play the 4. Who was the other? I know Steph was the point. Clay
Steph
was
playing Andrew Wiggins, wasn't it?
it Wiggins or no? It was Harrison
Yeah.
Barnes, I think. I
Or
think it was
Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes. Excuse
And
me.
so
Yes.
that 5-man death lineup, you just run folks out of the gym. And you had Draymond Green, who has shown, even though he's slight in stature, can hang defensively with most bigs in the NBA. It feels less like an indictment on Nick Jordan and more of a chess piece move for Penny. Another added lineup, like kind of to change the dynamics of the game or to just put a team away, right? Like, because what do you do with Dane? Like, how do you guard the Tigers if you've got 4 guys who are shooting let's not forget the Tigers are #1 team in the country in 3-point shooting this year.
Yeah, they are back to the #1 team. The only team shooting 40+% from 3. And we talked about it early on. We're like, I don't know that this is sustainable. We are literally now 70% of the way through the college basketball season, and they are the #1 3-point shooting team in America.
What are we talking about, right? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
If
guilty
you'd
as
have told me
charged.
that after the first 2 exhibition games, I would have told you you're an idiot. That there
Well,
is
that's just because
legitimately no way.
Well, yeah, we have years and years and years of history of Memphis Tiger teams just being awful 3-point shooting teams for the most part, right? And I understand the roster's changing at this point, literally every year. So as the roster change, you get new players in, more skill sets in, things like that. It's just you never think that they're going to go from an okay shooting team to this,
To the
right?
most
Where
elite shooting 3-point shooting team in the country.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's crazy.
It's also, I mean, I guess that's part of it is they take intelligent shots and they're not just a team that's out here like Alabama or somebody that's putting up 30 plus a night.
Right.
But I think D Grum's put it out there. We're not even remotely close to like top 150 in 3-point attempts. I don't think. I think it
They
was
were
like 290 or something.
It's the
11 for 21.
efficiency.
Yeah, the efficiency. It's
Yeah.
the timeliness of it. So put yourself in the perspective of being a coach defending the Tigers with that. I'm going to say it's the death lineup for the Tigers, right? So you got PJ Haggerty at the 1, Tyrese Hunter at the 2, Colby at the 3, PJ Carter at the 4, or you could interchange Colby Rogers and PJ Carter, however you want to do it. Because Colby Rogers is a little bit bigger than PJ Carter. And then you got Dane at the 5. The linchpin and all that is that Dane is a willing passer out of the post, right? So you got a guy, a big, who has a plethora, a full bag of moves in the post, who's willing to pass out of double teams, and his targets are PJ Carter, Colby Rogers, Tyrese Hunter, PJ Haggerty. And they're getting wide open threes. How do you guard that? How do you guard that lineup?
Well, I think the downfall of that is you better make every shot because there's not going to be much rebounding. I think on the court after that, but
Yeah.
you do get good rebounds from, I guess, Haggerty's pretty good for a guard at rebounding, and Dane's a good rebounder, but outside of that, it's
Tyrese is a willing rebounder.
Sure.
I mean, they are crash. Yeah, they are at times, but there are also time. I mean, there's. I guess
it's been a handful of games we've been out rebounded.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we have an incredible rebounding team by any means.
But to Kenny's point, I don't know how you defend it, honestly. Like, we saw it in Tulane, and PJ Carter had knocked down some threes, and the focus shifted to him, and all of a sudden, because Colby had started a little bit cold, he was literally wide open on the wing and just drank like twice in a row. Just totally forgotten about. Now, I know one of them was into the shot clock, and he was ball in his hand, dude in his face, and just pulling and making stuff. But there were also at least two where they just totally left him wide open.
And Dane is a very tough guy to guard one-on-one. If you don't, if you don't send a guard down to dig the ball out, because that's Dane's big issue, right? Is when he puts the ball on the ground, if you send a guard to dig, he gives it up like frequently, right? So it's not, that's the way you guard that. But he's also shown himself willing to pass out of that.
Right. And, which isn't like him being willing to give up is not a terrible thing necessarily. Like too often we've seen the ball go in the post and it literally never comes back out.
Never comes out.
Some of those dudes had not 20% of the footwork skill that Dane had. His footwork and that spin move are literally deadly. It is unbelievable how good he is in the post.
Yeah.
Like I cannot, off the top of the dome, I don't know a Tiger to compare him to with his ability, his footwork.
I think you could
get around a defender in the paint.
I think you could almost go to the nation and say, I don't know if there's a big that has his footwork. Maybe Hunter Dickinson at Kansas, like that. He's got good footwork, and he's 7'2", but but we're talking footwork wise. I'm not talking about overall skill. I think Dane has got a lot. Like he's very limited from like 5 feet out, right? Like doesn't do anything outside of in the paint.
We're just saying on the block with the ball back to the basket and a defender on you, Dane has a very special ability to get around the defender and get an open shot. It's not like, I mean, I know he's thrown up some hook shots over a defender, but far more often he is making a move that gets him an open, undefendable, like whether it's a reverse on the other side of the basket or what have you, like he's getting a clean look at the basket,
up and under kind of move. Yeah, it's filthy.
It is absurd.
So I'm interested about this. That's why I think this whole sustainability wise, like I'm not even necessarily concerned about how much he shoots or how many he makes. PJ Carter is who I'm talking about. I love that Penny has something new to play with. Like this is a new toy, this lineup absolutely is something that I don't think any of us saw early in the season.
Yeah, I don't know that the staff saw it really. Like, I think the thought process that they had is probably what we had similar, is like PJ Carter is a guy that can come in and relieve Colby for a couple of minutes a night, right? Like
they showed you what they thought he was. They showed you what they thought he was at the beginning of the year. A spell guy, a rest guy. Like come in for a couple minutes, get a run and go. You know, did you hear what Penny said? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in those couple of minutes, if you can knock down a 3, awesome. But otherwise, like we're giving dudes a break, and you're coming right back out.
Did you hear what Penny said? What kind of was the turning point for PJ?
No,
it was about a month ago.
Well, maybe
he had a conversation with him at the facility, and he said that he was like, one of the things we noticed as a staff is that PJ was just taking it he was too much of a jokester. And then he kind of clarified that and said he would come in. We had practice at 8 in the morning. He'd be there at 8. As soon as practice was gone, he would leave. He walked around the facility with just this big old smile on his face, like, I'm just happy to be here. And he said, I had a conversation with him in the office, and I told him, I said, you have lost your willingness to fight for your position. You're just happy to be here. And he said, PJ told him, I've never had a coach tell me that before. You'll never have to have that conversation with me again. And since then, it's been this.
Well, at work, because he's got that dog in him now. I mean, even yet, like yesterday in Houston, he was making defensive plays, a deflection here or there. I mean, shit, you have Nick Jourdain out there, and he's making defensive plays while we have the ball offensively.
Nick has been tough. Nick has been rough.
Oh, no, I
Meanwhile,
love
he was
PJ
telling us he was
Carter.
gonna lead all conference.
I texted Kenny earlier this week. I think it was after the Tulane game. It was before yesterday even. We're talking about one game, essentially. And I want PJ back.